Hey, Jonathan. Hey, RJ. I'm really excited to chat with you guys about Fund9 and the partnership with WebStreet. How do you guys know each other specifically and transition into what you're doing right now at WebStreet? So take me back to the early days, but then how did you get here with WebStreet, the two of you?
RJ and I met back in 1991. So at the Wharton School of Business, we graduated together in 93. So that's where we met. We went our separate ways at that point. And then fundamentally, did we bump? I forget. Did we bump into each other? We bumped into each other along the way. I was working at some national retailers throughout my career, and RJ was working at some consumer electronics manufacturing companies, and his team was calling on me, or my team. So we sort of bounced off each other during those periods of time. And then we reconnected, I guess it was back in 2008, 2009, something like that.
Yeah, like 2009, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, out at Amazon. And we were both there calling on Amazon and having meetings with them for various businesses we were involved in, and just started shooting the breeze around this behemoth called Amazon. And I mean, go backwards 15 years, it's nothing like it was today, but we both were amazed at the volume they were doing back then, the growth they were showing, and the model was just fascinating. And we were sort of chuckling to ourselves that most of the other retailers out there had no idea how to approach the internet, and Amazon was just light years ahead on it. So we took it upon ourselves. We were both at a point where we were looking at different opportunities. So we created a little side hustle, which was a consulting business where we were advising manufacturers on how to work with Amazon, because they too had no idea. They were, they came at it the same way they would go after Best Buy or Walmart or Target. Here's the approach that we take. And that just wasn't the Amazon. It wasn't Amazon's model, but it wasn't the model of the internet. And we started working with some manufacturers there. We took that as we were sitting there worried about messing up someone's business. We said, some of these theories that we're kicking around and these brilliant ideas that we would have at 3 o'clock in the morning, we would say, hey, we should probably try this. So we got a little skunkworks project that we called Gear Beast. It was started out with sports armbands for running that you put on, stick your phone in. And lo and behold, that company took off. And fast forward to the end of that one, we sold that to an aggregator about 3 years ago. So it was, that's kind of how we got to the point of our first exit. Along the way, we started other businesses. We have since acquired other businesses, both independently, as well as with WebStreet. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how we got here.
RJ, tell me what's your role and what's Jonathan's role.
As much as we do kind of play in each other's playgrounds, if you will, Jonathan's more focused on all the operational aspects, everything from getting the product manufactured, getting it tested, getting it to the US, and anything you would think about from getting a product from point A to point Z and all the back end aspects of running. We both manage the product development side. For our own book of business, we obviously have to develop products for the companies we've invested in. We're expanding product lines. So we both get involved in that. I'm more focused on the Amazon specific side of the business, which is the listings, advertising, marketing, all the creative type of things. So that's kind of how we divide, but it doesn't stop Jonathan from telling me, hey, you should be doing this. Or my kind of looking, online, say, hey, we're running short of inventory. Are you dropping the ball or something of that nature? Or, I may come across a quality issue that we need to go back to the factory and address. So we talk as much as, well, I talk to Jonathan more than I talk to my own family. So we're on the phone, at least 3-4 hours a day, every day. So we're a small team. We have outsourced task level things that we have done for us. And it's all over the world. We work with content people and brand people in Europe. We have sourcing people in Asia. So we're kind of a global organization, but as far as the two people that really run the show, it's just Jonathan and I.
I have a question for you guys around the Amazon FBA space. Why should I look at it? Why should I consider investing with WebStreet, partnering through you all? And then the second question is, I think I understand how Amazon FBA works. Why don't I just do it myself?
About why wouldn't somebody else do this? Why wouldn't you just jump in and do it yourself, buy a company? Why invest? While somebody new is figuring out the blocking and tackling, we have figured out the blocking and tackling, and we're focused on next generation stuff. So Amazon has a new thing called Rufus, which is an artificial intelligence search engine, which RJ will be happy to hear. They're going to get rid of their algorithm eventually, and Rufus will be the new search tool. There's other things that are happening in the space which we are working to figure out how to incorporate into what we do, whether it's things like they're trying to compete with Temu and others by allowing having low price product that ships in from Asia, but it'll come in to the customer, 7 to 10 days, different model. So we're looking at we get to spend time looking at these things because the core portion of the business is well under control. If we were new and not knowing how Amazon worked, we'd still be trying to figure out, day one stuff, and the world would just pass us by. So I think that the experience of what we have is incredibly valuable because Amazon is not static. It is changing and iterating and moving every single day. And if you don't know how to do the basics, you're going to get so far left behind because everybody else is moving forward. Let me start with your first question about Amazon FBA in general. And I think it warrants just spending a second because I'm not sure everybody truly understands when we say Amazon FBA, what else is there? People don't always get that. They say, oh, I'm buying from Amazon. So when it's easiest to look at it from a shopper's perspective, when you are on Amazon and you are buying something, often there is more than one company, person selling that product. And that can be Amazon. They will put it in their warehouses. They will own that inventory. They will sell it. And that's a direct. A second model is third-party seller. And we are a third-party seller. So we do not sell to Amazon, but Amazon allows us the privilege of using their platform in exchange for fees to access the customers who come shopping on Amazon. And so that's a third-party seller. And then a third-party seller, there's really two ways you can fulfill the product. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. So we take product, we put it into an Amazon warehouse, and then again, for a fee, they handle the heavy lifting. They will pick, pack, and ship it to the customer. So from an end user or a buyer in the market, it's somewhat irrelevant to them. They see a product, they buy it, but there's a lot of different facets that go on. And if you were a third-party seller, you can also do what's called FBM, fulfilled by merchant, which is you don't put the product into the Amazon warehouses. When Amazon takes an order on your behalf, they send you the order, and then you are responsible for shipping out of your own warehouses to the customer. I raise this because there's two pieces to it. What the customer sees on the Amazon site, that has to be perfect no matter what the model is. And we'll talk to that when you said, why don't you want to start this yourself? Why don't you just want to go do it? Good luck. Good luck to you. The operational side is very different. Amazon is incredibly efficient. And so using FBA is generally, and I stress generally, the most efficient means of moving the product into the customer's hands. For example, we never touch the product. Our product comes from our factories straight into Amazon distribution facilities, into FBA facilities, into the customer's hands. So we never touch it, which is a great way to minimize cost, but it can also crush you if you don't have control of your operations and forecasting and knowing exactly how much to get there and how quickly to get it there. You never want to have too much, but you certainly don't want to have too little. So two is one of the reasons that we believe that most people aren't really equipped to do this. The inventory requires capital. The tools that we have developed over the years that enable us to manage our entire supply chain so that we have visibility as to where everything is and how to move something faster or slower or back stuff off based on the rate of sale that we're seeing and forecasting, knowing the idiosyncrasies of Amazon. You can look at something in July and say, oh, sales are slowing down. Sales always slow down in Amazon in July, which is why they created Prime Day, to try and boost up sales in July. There's a lot of just inherent knowledge that we've learned, that we've gleaned over the years. I think from the other side, I'll let RJ talk about the genius that comes from knowing how to operate on the Amazon platform, because so much of it, think about this, is it's about being found. Customers gravitate to Amazon. It's the number one shopping site in the world. So people gravitate there and they want to shop there. But as a result, you have to get found. And I think that that's, an area where we excel. And I'll let RJ touch on that.
Yeah. So if you think about a traditional retail store, they got a shelf, and since Jonathan and I started in that world, we very much understand that there's a limited number of products that go on that shelf and how it gets there. There's a lot of things that go into that. But when the consumer goes into a office supply store and they want to go look at folders, just generic folders, they'll go back there and they have a limited number of options. And they may be picking on design, maybe on cost, on some other thing. When you move to Amazon, you're talking about an unlimited shelf. And you have to also, the people didn't walk into the store you have to get them, how are they searching for the product? Are they searching for bulk manila folders? Are they looking for really pretty floral folders? How are people looking for the product? So if you think about Amazon, and I hate to use the word algorithm because I think it's the most overused term to Amazon, but it's a bunch of variables. And a lot of those variables, even if you hit the right search term, is going to be based on, pricing, what you're advertising, your reviews, ratings, your in stocks. And no one on the outside of Amazon, I think 99% of people inside of Amazon don't even know what the variables are and how they're weighted. The one thing that having years and years of experience is we kind of have been able to hone in on what is really relevant and what's irrelevant. So you could go on today and say, I'm going to buy this widget from Asia. I'm going to sell it on Amazon. And you could go out and hire 5 different firms that all say they optimize based on pricing or search terms or what have you. And I'll tell you that Jonathan and I have looked at a lot, dozens and dozens of those companies. And, this is personal opinion. Very few of them bring value. It's really just getting in and building experience over, the 20 plus years that we have using the platform. And yes, there's some normal blocking and tackling, normal marketing. You need to have a great product. You need to have great imagery, those types of things. But you also have to hit on things like, hey, Amazon's awarding you for having videos. We need to make sure we have videos at launch. One thing that people don't know, when you have a title, when you set the product up, you can't play with that title over time to update it for a new phone platform or decide, I think people are searching for the product now this way, so I'm going to change the title. Amazon, let's say, almost starts your product over. The algorithm treats it like a brand new product and you get to start over, working your way up search. So, a lot of it is things we've learned over time and
mistakes that we've made over time.
And a lot of mistakes we've made over time. And you can't just jump in and have that kind of knowledge no matter where you are.
I'll phrase this question as, what are the 3 elements that you like to focus on?
I think the first thing we start with is we have categories of business that we just are not interested in. Some of it is because of experience. We know how difficult it is to sell certain categories on Amazon, both due to competition, due to the rules of Amazon, due to the bizarre idiosyncrasies of the product line. There are certain categories that we won't touch. And it's not to say that they're not viable. Just in our experience, we have not figured out how to be successful in that space. So we generally try not to. So things we stay away from personally, we stay away from supplements. We stay away, we get close to it with one of our product companies that we bought in round 7, but we stay away from fashion.
We really also stay away from trend products as well. Short-lived.
We also know that the kiss of death on Amazon is bad reviews. Bad reviews come because a customer has a bad experience, which could be self-inflicted, or there truly could be a problem with the product. So we try and stay away from things that are technically complicated, knowing that will drive a high return rate, which is both economically disastrous, as well as Amazon penalizes you for it. And it will drive a significant amount of customer service issues with people calling, emailing, wanting help, et cetera. So we stay away from things like that. What we then look for companies that have a really good base. What does a base mean? We look at things with tremendous listings, well-made products, good reviews, good quantity of reviews. They have relatively good positioning in the category. That is something that we can build off of, and that we can take our expertise and make it better, make it more efficient, strip cost out of the equation, and then we can grow it either doing more of certain things, whether it's improving the advertising, or we can introduce new products built off that platform that already exists. And that's the approach, for the most part, that we've taken with most of our companies that we've acquired through WebStreet.
At least the acquisitions we've made that have made them really attractive. And I would say 2 things that sort of pop up are advertising and in stocks. So there's a lot of wasted advertising. You go in and you look at these companies and they've taken that shotgun approach, and that's what Amazon tells you to do. That's what all these third-party marketing firms tell you to do. Everything, take the shotgun approach and then narrow down. There's a lot of wasted spend there. And a lot of the companies we've looked at are still in that. They haven't figured out how to whittle down the list to focus on the most effective words and bidding strategies that work. The other thing is, and I think we mentioned it earlier, the kiss of death on Amazon is really, besides bad reviews, is running out of stock. Well, that means you got to keep putting cash in to grow your inventory to keep up with growth. And if you don't, you're going to be in trouble with Amazon if you run out of stock. So growth is great until you realize you don't have the capital to support growth. and then it's not such a great thing. So if, the money you're taking out of Amazon earning each month doesn't pay for your next month of inventory, then you're going to start running into problems. On two of these situations, we said, listen, they're wasting money on advert. Great product, it's growing. They're wasting money on advertising, and they have out of stocks. Those are easy things to do in the first 90 days for us, and then start focusing more on building the company from there.
What's the partnership been like with WebStreet?
So first off, the experience working with WebStreet has been fantastic. They are the epitome of professionals. They know what they are doing, but they also trust us to know what we are doing. And while there's checks and balances in place to make sure that we're not running off hog wild, they are giving us the freedom to do what it is we need to do to be successful. And I think RJ mentioned the access to capital. Again, it's a well-defined amount. As we look at an acquisition, we obviously are negotiating the price of the purchase with their support and their experience assisting us, but we're also looking at our growth plans and allocating capital right out of the gate. So we don't have to necessarily think about, okay, are we going to sell enough this month to hoard enough cash that we can place orders for holiday? We've just been placing holiday orders over the past 30 days. The numbers are astounding, but it's obviously something that we're able to do because through the WebStreet Fund, the capital is available to us to do exactly what we need to do.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. Is they do a lot of things that we would like to do, but maybe just don't have I don't want to say the capability intellectually to do, but clearly they help us, validate that these are good acquisitions, and they ask a lot of good questions that maybe, we're just in love with the product and they're the opportunity. They're sort of the sounding board, the more, the same people with the money saying, okay, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of this? So that's great. And they also, if we wanted to go out and do fundraising, that would be, a lot of our time and effort and expanding our team, and they, them providing that funding source and bringing the capital in so that we can look for bigger opportunities, so that we can make sure the opportunities we pursue are well funded. That's a huge, huge benefit. I mean, there's companies out there, even right now that are on our radar that we're excited about for round 9 that Jonathan and I great opportunities, probably wouldn't be pursuing on our own, given our own book of business, but they're great opportunities. And if we have enough capital to pursue them, we're definitely going to.
Last question that I have for you is, what's something in the metrics that you guys have sent about your assets that you've acquired with WebStreet that you're really proud of?
There's one that's it's near and dear to my heart because, as RJ said, I spent a lot of time on operations. When we made our first acquisition, we got a recovery within the first 30 days of over $8,000. I think it was $12,000 actually, from Amazon for lost product. You acquire this company, and then all of a sudden, you jump right in, and we know the things to look for and the things to do. And lo and behold, there's $12,000 sitting there. One-off. Those things don't happen very frequently, but it was kind of cool. I think one of the things on one of our more recent acquisitions, we've already enhanced the margin. It was a low margin product line when we jumped in. We looked at how aggressively they were promoting, and we felt that based on our analysis and research, we wouldn't have to go as deep and we could attain the same results. And, we've picked up, it's only 200 basis points, but 200 basis points on this one represents almost a 20% improvement in the margin. It's pretty significant that we were able to pull that one off.
With each of our acquisitions, especially the ones we did in the last round, we've learned a little bit about and it's great. We're building our book of knowledge, and each of them had, different things that they were doing that we've learned from. And so, we're applying them to we're cross-germinating, if you will, to the other businesses. And selfishly, we're also applying them to some of our other businesses that are non-competitive. But it's, every time you get into these companies, there's a lot of stuff that they may be not doing the way we would. And we're looking for opportunities to, hey, that's a great opportunity for us. We'll fix that side. We'll make them, more profitable or grow revenue. But every once in a while, like these last two, we go, wow, that's clever what you're doing. So we picked up some more knowledge just from the acquisitions. And I'm kind of really excited about what we've learned from the previous owners.
One more question, if you guys have time for it, which is the WebStreet vetting process for portfolio managers is serious, right? What was it like for you guys?
We were certainly excited to be selected. It felt like a really long process. Maybe you picked it up from this video. Jonathan's probably the more out there, more sociable guy. I'm kind of the guy that sits in the office and, crunches numbers and doing that. And yet I was the one doing the videos every time. And I'm like, yeah, this is really outside my comfort zone, Jonathan. Recording videos it would take me probably, an hour to record something Jonathan could have knocked out in 5 minutes because he's,
I do remember when they finally said, okay, it's a go for round, I guess, fund 6. It was kind of like that sense of, I'm exhausted, and now it's just going to start,
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. And, Fund 6 took us a while to find. I think we found our acquisition towards the very end of the fund. So, from when we started with WebStreet to when we finally closed on it, it was exceptionally long. On round 7, we found something, I don't want to say day one, but we found something really quickly that we really liked. And then we found something else very late in the game, which was great. So, we sort of had one early on and we kept looking and found another. One thing that we are adamant on is that we won't buy it unless both RJ and I are 100% in. We've got to be convinced, committed, and on board with it, or else we'd rather pass.
Love it. Gentlemen, is there anything you'd like to add? I've asked all my questions.
No, this has been really exciting for us to be involved with WebStreet. And like I mentioned before, Jonathan and I were, we sold, a pretty sizable business to an aggregator several years back. And we were, we were looking at smaller opportunities and, like easy ones where we could just say, you know what, we're going to write the check out of our bank accounts and stuff. But there were still some big ones out there that we probably passed on early on just because of the size, and WebStreet, gives us the opportunity to take on bigger fish, if you will. Still, easy for us to manage, but they're just bigger things that, having to not write the checks 100% out of our bank accounts was nice to have, along with the partners. And what we proposed for round 9, which we're taking a little different approach, which is, the aggregators are getting rid of some really good assets just because they're either going through bankruptcy or their investors are saying, you got to get rid of X amount of your portfolio. And some of the stuff they're getting rid of is great. And to have a fund behind us that allows us to kind of pick up some of these assets, hopefully on the cheap, is really exciting.
Love it. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Peter. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Peter. Have a good day.